You might be wondering why I should drive an error. If everything goes fine, why I should do? So it is not that way, guys. Imagine I'm gonna get data from the TV. Okay. So what I'm telling, what my people are telling, get only 100 data from the DB. So I'll be getting all the data. I want to do the count. So I can use if statement. If the count exceeded 0, what I'll be doing, I'll do just print statement. So print is not that much, efficient, right? So instead of print statement, you raise an error at that time. Whenever it crosses 100th row, you raise exception and you just throw the data back to the exception block. So in this case, you can use the raise kind of a concept. Now I'm trying to raise an error. I'm trying to raise an error. Okay. What was this error? My error. It shows error on two different places. What are the two different places? One, the place in the rise and also during the catch, during the except block. It says, Mohan, we don't find such error. My error is not at all a part of any exception, and I asked with the Python exception class, and even the exception class agreed that there is no default error such like that. Okay, so this is what we call it as user defined exception. So when you write directly, when you try to use directly, of course it is going to throw an error. So what you have to do, you have to make sure that this also works fine. How to do it? Simple. Class my error. You just create a class name of the error which you're supposed to give or which you're gonna give. And the important point is that that error, that user defined error that you're raising should inherit the base class. I already told, right? All the exception that you see in Python belongs to a base class called exception, base class exception. So what you're doing, you're making sure that even this error, the one which you're raising, also belongs to the base exception. Okay, the next line, as of now, you don't need anything. Just keep it as pass. So now I done with whatever I supposed to do. So this is what user defined exception. So whenever you try to raise a name of an error which is not there in Python by default, you can make that as a part of your exception by declaring a class for the name by inheriting the base class called exception. Now when I run, again it throws the same error. This is something that I see people do often. What was that? We already discussed in one of our videos that Python is a top-down programming mechanism, top-down programming approach. What does it mean? It will always go to the top to see whether there is a definition or whatever it is. Now at line number 153, as soon as I raise, it will understand that my error is not such error. So it will go and see on the top whether the class name exists or not. But what I did intentionally, I made the class at the bottom. So this will not work. So when you have a definition, should always reach at the top this way. That's it. Now it works. Now you can see it works perfectly. This is what we do call it as user defined exception. Okay, this is what we call it as user defined exception. Definite interview question. Okay, so when you go for any interview, the first thing they'll ask you is that, do you know how to write a user defined exception? So you people should be in a position to answer them. Okay, right. Now what happened? This is something you are doing customized error. You are printing a customized error. Instead, you can my meaning is equal to user error something. Okay, now how you can use this here? There are two ways to do, which we already seen in class topic. If we didn't see, we just go and refer our previous videos. Now this is the class and the class contain a meaning. Okay, so let me just showcase you quickly so that you'll understand. Imagine class, my class. Inside of my class you have variable called Dhoni. How do you access this? First, you have to create an object for my class. So my is equal to my class. Then what is the next method? Print of my dot variable. That's it. It will print. So whenever a variable is sits inside a class, you have to make sure to create an object so that using the object, you can go and fetch the data. Same thing here. What you have to do? Put it here as EX. EX means what? This one, line number 179. So this is what, so you created an object for your class. So what next you have to do? Using that object, EX, you have to call the specific meaning. That's it. Look at this. You are getting the specified meaning. Okay, this is what we do call it as user defined exception. Definitely something that you can expect in any interviews. Okay, what is user defined exception and why we should go for this kind of exception? Right. So apart from this, there is nothing much left on this kind of a concept, guys. Okay, so you people have to see each and everything separately. What is user defined? What is race exception? What is else statement? What is finally statement? So these are the points that I want you people to make a note of it. Okay, so always keep in mind this will play some huge role in any interviews that you people possess. Okay, so this is a kind of exception, and even in interview, right? Whenever you go for interview or whenever you go for a project, when they ask you to write a code, you should always start writing by declaring that within an exception block. Always try to make this as a habit so that in future when somebody comes up and shows to you, you should be in a position to answer them. Okay, so always get yourself prepared for this kind of exception, right? So that's it with respect to the exception, guys.